What can a governor do to make Illinois more business and thereby job friendly?
Well, I have been saying that a business-friendly state is a job-friendly state. But going back to what I said in your first question about the difference between libertarians and Republicans or Democrats, the Republican candidates right now are saying that they want to give inducements or programs, subsidies to businesses or provide them special tax treatments in order to bring them into the state. These are the types of government programs and expansions that I think, definitely I want to avoid. Again, I want to reduce the involvement of government. I think we can make this a business-friendly state by trying to reduce or eliminate taxes on businesses across the board. Mm-hmm. Because what the Republicans especially, more so than the Democrats, want to do is they want to target incentives. But we can't give incentives to every business in the state of Illinois or every business that might come here. That would be onerous in terms of the cost. So what we're going to see is special interest giving money or special favors to certain businesses at the expense of others and at the expense of the taxpayers. So I'm not for those types of programs. I am for the reduction or elimination of taxes, especially on businesses, mm-hmm. and also to review any regulations such as the EPA and other business regulations to try to make it more desirable because of the lack of taxes and lack of regulation other than those absolutely necessary. Mm-hmm. And of course, as soon as we do that, I'm certain that all types of businesses will come to Illinois, not just the ones that politicians will target or that are being run by their friends and cronies.
Mm-hmm. Especially if they think those new programs, or not programs, but lower taxes and less regulation is permanent rather than just
yes.
waiting until the next Congress is going to put them back.
You're right.
Well, tell me about you. What makes you qualified to be chief executive of the state of Illinois?
Very good question. If for qualifications we look just to the Illinois Constitution, you have to be 25 years old and a citizen for 3 years or more. So I meet the constitutional requirements. I've been a citizen of Illinois all my life, and I'm 55 years old, so I'm well within those limits. Some people would say that we need additional qualifications. The first thing I'm going to answer directly is if the qualification is that you're a lifelong politician or that you've been working within this system, which is obviously failing for years on end, then I'm not your candidate because I'm a regular citizen. Mm-hmm. Certainly I have political aspirations because I'm running, and I have definite ideas, but I think that the original idea of our founding fathers was to have citizen legislators and not lifelong politicians.
I agree with that.
I think that if a citizen is intelligent and energetic and has, strong ideas and insights into what's going on, that they are qualified. I also want to bring back up the put-back amendment because it does implement term limits. And this is something I don't think a lot of people realize. Imagine that we have term limits, which many, many people think is desirable in trying to get rid of corruption. In the case of term limits, that means that every 1 or 2 elections, we're going to be dealing with someone who is new, mm-hmm. which means that people who are regular citizens are going to have better access to the offices. And in that regard, somebody like myself is going to be more likely to pop up every election or 2, and you're going to see regular citizens more involved in the process. I like to call them freshman legislators or freshman politicians. And yes, there might be a learning curve involved with that, but you're going to see fresh ideas, and you're going to see a decrease in the corruption that seems to be so prevalent. So, so I think I'm adequately qualified in terms of my desire to serve and my insights into what it takes to make things work. I do want to bring up another thing that I hear a lot, and that is so many people will say, well, I've started my own business, so therefore I'm qualified, or I've been involved in accounting, or I've been involved in as a CEO or a number of other things, and I applaud those people for their experience. I've been a worker in this state all my life. I've held jobs in a number of different industries. Does that prepare me to be governor? I don't really think that anything like that can prepare a person to be governor. And I know, I don't want to mention specific names, but several people point to their particular business that they've built or that they've been involved with for years, and they say, this makes me qualified. I have a feeling when they get into the governor's office that they're going to find that it's a whole new set of rules. And I think that's going to be the same for everybody.
Which historical figure do you admire most, and why?
I've been asked this question many times, and I've actually answered differently every time, because as I go through thinking about it, there's a number of historical figures that impress me and that I've used as my role model. But I'm going to give you an answer I've never given before, because I've come to appreciate through my readings over the last several months, George Washington would be the person. George Washington was a leader. But he wasn't a leader in terms of how shall I put it, forcing people into accepting him. He led by example. So many times when they were in battle, he was the first one into battle. He was lucky beyond a fault. I mean, he dodged bullets from the French and Indian War all the way through to until the end of the Revolutionary War. And yet, when the war was over, the greatest general of the war was Washington. He could have declared himself king on the spot, and he didn't. He stepped down. The British were flabbergasted. This man should be king in any European nation, and yet he stepped down.
Right.
He had to be called out of service to become the leader of the Constitutional Convention, or the Continental Congress, and then he had to be enticed into the presidency. Then after 2 terms, no term limits in the Constitution at that time, after 2 terms he stepped down. This is a man who took his responsibilities seriously, and he discharged his duties with honor, and then he stepped down off the stage. This is the model that I think all politicians should use.